This is the Business Connect, connecting businesses to the people, connecting you to who you need to know. I'm Josh Sullivan. These are the stories, the people. This is our community.
Welcome to the Business Connect podcast. As you could tell, I'm not your normal host. I'm Tommy Waite of TommyWaite.com, and I'm the host of my own podcast, Modern Talk, and I'm also the editor and producer of this podcast. Today, we wanted to have a very special Thanksgiving episode where we turn the mic around on your normal host. Welcome to your own podcast, Josh Sullivan.
Hey, thanks, Tommy. Thanks for doing this, man. Yeah, I just wanted to have a little bit different special episode for the week of Thanksgiving. I did have some that I could have put out, but I just wanted to do something a little bit different and do something a little fun, kind of give the background on the Business Connect and background on me a little bit better, because I haven't really done a great job of explaining the background, I feel like, on the previous podcast.
Well, that's good, though, because you focused on the person and not yourself. So this is a nice way to kind of catch people up on what you're doing.
Right. So, without skipping too far ahead, because I'm sure you're going to ask this at some point, but
Yeah.
yeah, that's the whole mission behind the Business Connect. It's not advertising. It's not about me or my company or my brands or anything like
Yeah.
that. The Business Connect is really about focusing on the other company and the owner of that company and that kind of thing. So we'll get more into that, I'm sure. But yeah, that's really the focus, and that's why I don't talk about what I do. I've had a couple guests that have kind of alluded to what I do or kind of brought it up a little bit, but I try not to talk about it because I just feel like it blurs the water and it goes against what the brand is.
Yeah. I agree with that. So we want to talk about, since this is Thanksgiving episode, what are you doing for Thanksgiving this year?
So this past weekend, I was at my in-laws' house in Rock Hill, South Carolina. We
Mhm.
were there. My wife goes to the Charlotte Christmas show with her mom every year, so we went up
Yeah.
there, they did the Christmas show, and I watched the kids, all of them, and including my nieces and nephews, and that was fun,
Wow.
ish. But then now we're at my parents' house for a few days, and we're gonna do Thanksgiving here, and then we'll be back in Myrtle Beach on Thanksgiving Day. So kind of a
Nice.
little bit everywhere.
Yeah. A little bit of travel. That's normal. Um, so you're married. You said you had a kid, right? You're married? Okay.
Yeah, married with two kids.
Oh,
Been
two
married.
kids.
Yeah. So I've got River, who is 7,
Mm-hmm.
and Woods, who is 1. Yes, you can
Yeah.
tell that I'm an outdoorsman. River and Woods are my kids' names.
Right. Yeah. That's
Um, so yeah, River is 7 and Woods is 1. They are even River's teachers, when we pick up River from school, if Woods is in the car, they say, "Oh, look, there's your mini me," because they are identical. They're just 6 years apart.
yeah.
But yeah, they're a lot of fun. My wife and we've been married for like 3 years ish. I don't know. You're probably supposed to know that. I know the date, but I don't feel like doing math right now. It's an off week. Um,
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving. You don't have to do math.
and but we dated for like 8 or 9 years before we got married, so it all runs together. To be honest with you.
Yeah. So how did you meet? Do you remember?
We met in Myrtle Beach, 4th of July weekend of 2010, I believe.
Yeah, wow.
And then yeah, kind of just grew from there.
Yeah, wow. Do you remember your first date? Proper date?
I mean, not proper date. I mean, the first time we went out together, we went to what do you call it, Club Boca at
What's
Myrtle
that?
Beach or something. Oh, it was so in Broadway at the beach. It used to be Malibu's was on the end, Froggy Bottoms was in the middle, and then Club Boca was at the end, and they were all connected, so you got into all of them at once. But that doesn't exist anymore. That's gone.
That's funny.
Nothing is left of those three. For a little while, there was like Revolution still, and Malibu was still there, but now like I think all of them are closed. I don't even know if Malibu's open anymore. I haven't been to Broadway in so long. I couldn't tell you.
Yeah. How long have you lived here in Myrtle Beach?
I moved to Myrtle Beach in 2009. So
Okay.
I was playing golf in college and didn't want to stop playing golf every day. Didn't really know
Yeah,
what I wanted to do,
right.
which is part of my story. I had no idea what I really wanted to do. But at the time, I was playing golf, and I didn't want to stop playing golf every day. So I moved to Myrtle Beach to go to the golf academy that was in Myrtle Beach just so I could play. And I didn't really know much about it or much about that lifestyle or anything, but I knew I got to play golf still. So that was really what it was. I moved to Myrtle Beach and just kept playing golf and wanted to keep playing golf, and chased that dream until like 26 or 27 ish. Really, once River was first born, and then once he could start moving, that's really when I stopped playing golf as much. He, when he was a baby, I would take him to the range with me, and he would sit in the stroller, and it was fine. But then as soon as he started being able to move, it was like, yep, I couldn't really practice anymore. So I chased the dream of playing golf competitively for a while,
Yeah.
but that's what got me to Myrtle Beach, really.
What's your favorite accomplishment of your golf career?
I just like to hit the ball far.
Me too. I always
That's
get
about
mad
it.
with the par three. I'm like, I want to hit it.
Yeah, no. I would say my favorite accomplishment is something someone said to me one time, which was my college coach. He told me if he could get me to play from the middle of the fairway the way that I could play out of the trees, I'd be the best golfer he ever saw. So, like, I think that's my best accomplishment is just like some of the recovery shots that I've hit in my life are, I don't know. I guess it's lack of focus when I'm like in the middle of the fairway with like a 9 iron in my hand. I'm like, yeah, whatever. This isn't fun. I need to do something crazy. Like put
Yeah.
me behind a tree or a tight pin or something like that, and that's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get a little bored sometimes on the golf course, so I got to shake it up a little bit. Hit one of the trees just for fun.
Yeah. That's always good. I wonder how that translates to your business life. Do you ever get too bored with your business and want to hit it into the trees?
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely always full of ideas and like chasing something new. Like there's
Yeah.
always ideas running through my head, which is why, like, to be honest with you, the business connect is kind of selfish. Um, because it helps me express ideas to other people and help their business. But it kind of clarifies my mind. Like it helps me get some of the ideas out of my brain and clear up my own head. Like, I've said it to some
Yeah.
people in the past that I don't necessarily have a business partner or really need a business partner in certain aspects, but I
Yeah.
need a sounding board sometimes. Like whenever I'm doing something with with my business or doing something new, like I need somebody to bounce ideas off of. And because sometimes I'll chew on an idea and chew on an idea and not know exactly how to finish it or put it into place. But the second I start talking to somebody about it, it all clicks. Like I just sometimes I need that sounding board. So yeah, I mean, it definitely it plays that way. Like if I was just playing golf by myself, I'd get bored, like I said. But and same thing, like if I'm just going through the daily grind of business, sometimes it can get boring without having somebody there to really slow down my mind and help me kind of get through all the ideas that I have going on. So yeah, I mean, definitely it's similar because again, I've always got something else running through my mind. Sometimes it's hard to quiet my mind and really focus on that one task. Same thing with golf. Like it's hard to focus on that one simple task because of the big picture.
Yeah.
Definitely similar.
That's
Good
interesting
point.
because yeah, thanks. Um, I was thinking about how there's like I'm an intern with like one of my kind of jobs, and you get sometimes the most easy, tedious jobs, and when you mess those up, it's like extra embarrassing because it's so easy and simple, but it's because it's so easy and simple, you lose your focus, and that's when like mistakes happen. And it's like people get frustrated with you because it's like you had one job or whatever, and it's not even that hard. But it's like
Yes.
if you,
So
yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So for me, like whenever I'm doing something that's tedious, so um, again, kind of jumping ahead, like one of the things I've done in the past was research, and was a research based job, and it was really there was a lot of tedious work in it, so it wasn't a job, it was my exploration, and a friend's exploration. We were doing it together, and we were working on algorithms and just researching market data. So it was thousands and thousands and thousands of data points.
Yeah.
and everything, and then like writing code for algorithms and things like that. Like it can get super tedious. You're just staring at an Excel spreadsheet for hours and hours. Whenever I'm doing something tedious or small like that, like whether it be transferring contacts into a CRM, whether it be answering emails, whether it be, the research side where you're just staring at numbers all the time, I personally have to put headphones in and music on.
Hmm.
And I listen to like,
Bless you.
whoo, sorry. Um, we'll take that out.
Yeah. Editor, please take note.
But so whenever I'm doing something tedious, whether that be transferring things onto CRM, answering emails, staring at a spreadsheet, really doing data entry, data review type deal, I've got to put headphones in, and listen to music. And what I listen to is either some form of classical music or like the violins that are
Mm-hmm.
playing modern music, but it's like no music or no other instruments, is like just violins playing modern music, so you can kind of hear the words from the violin, but not anyone actually singing it.
That's it.
Like Dallas String Quartet is one of the bands. Brooklyn Duo is another like band where it's like again, it's modern music played with a violin, and that's it. So something like that, really, just that background of like almost like a constant buzz, really, to
Right.
get you to focus on those tedious tasks. That's what I have to do, to get really through those tedious tasks, like you said, because again, it's super embarrassing when you do something that's simple and it's like, oh my gosh, like how do you? But to be honest with you, I've been that way my entire life. I could go into a math class that had calculus and addition, and I promise you, I wouldn't miss any of the calculus questions, and I'd miss an addition question. I mean, that's seriously how my brain has worked my entire life. I'd be in some crazy math class or whatever, and I could get the hardest question right and miss the easiest one. Same thing playing golf. Like we'd get done with our round in college, and I would have birdied the hardest hole in the course, but then made bogey or double bogey or something on the easiest hole in the course.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm there. I've done it 100 times.
So how do we combat that when you're in the moment of something like golf where you can't just like put in headphones and listen to classical music? How do we bring in our focus to get the job done perfectly or as best as you can?
So the typical golf coach or the typical mental coach for golf is going to tell you routine, routine,
Yeah.
routine, routine. So like that pre-shot routine. But what that pre-shot routine really is there's a trigger, right? So I feel like you have to have something that triggers on. Like so for golf, it's like, you're doing whatever you want to do, you're playing around doing that, and then it's like uh your pre-shot routine really triggers you to jump into the shot and focus on the shot.
Yeah.
Um, and then, so I think that that's the same thing in business, right? So for me, whenever I'm doing that, it's putting my headphones and turning the music on. I know that once I turn that music on, it's go time, it's focus time, and it's time
Right.
to work. So I think that that's the same thing, right? There's not a pre-shot routine, but there's a trigger that, whether that be, I know some people say that it's hard for them to work from home because there's no trigger.
Yeah.
So I think that maybe, and that's one of the reasons that, today I don't have it on because I'm the guest, not the host. But for me, like the second that I tie that tie, right, I tie my tie a very specific way. It's called the Trinity knot. The second that that tie goes on, it's a game over. No more play. Like it's work time, right?
Uh-huh.
And I wear that at home when I'm working up in my home office. Like that's not like just put on. Like that's work time. That's go time, because again, it's that trigger to get you to the net, to get you where you want to go, to get you that focus.
Yeah.
So whether that be, walking into your office is your trigger, like in the front door of your office, whether it's your back office, whatever it may be, you've got to have something that triggers and says, okay, at this point, once I do this, everything else is focus,
Mhm.
and I've just got to knock this out. And it's like last week's episode when we were talking to Skylar Bird, he said he puts the most painful things, the most tedious tasks, the things that he doesn't want to do at the beginning of his day so that he can get through them, because that way he knows that the fun stuff's at the end of the day. And so he wants to knock it out to get to the better stuff. And again, that's for him, that's his trigger. So I think that that's really the biggest thing, is to be able to have a set thing that starts that process.
Yeah, I completely agree. That's a great answer. I'm gonna have to implement that in my life now. So I don't think we actually talked about what do you do.
Right. So this kind of goes into the whole story of the Business Connect. So I'll just incorporate that as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So my day job, I am an investment advisor, financial advisor, whatever you want to call it. I do
Hmm.
focus on investments. I focus on the markets that because that's my passion. When I was 25, that's when River was born or was about to be born. My father-in-law, I knew he was going to start an investment account or a college savings account for my son, and I didn't want him to be the only person that was saving for my son's future. So
Mm.
I am a very curious person by nature, so I jumped in and was like, okay. And I was good with math growing up, but I would always tell myself, hey, you don't come from a super rich family. Like I'm a middle class family. My mom's a nurse, my dad's an engineer, but
Hmm.
you know, I never really asked it for money anyways growing up. Like I was just okay with what I got. That's just how my mind was always would tell myself. But so I always was like, oh, you have to be super rich to benefit from the stock market. So don't think about
Mm.
that. And I constantly like it would come up like in high school in my brain, it would pop up. It's like maybe I could do that. And then I'd tell myself no. And as I said, like even through college, like I had no idea what I wanted to do. Even turning 21, moving to Myrtle Beach, I had no idea what I wanted to do. But that would cross my mind every once in a while, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And so then whenever he was born or was about to be born, he was on the way. I was like, you know what? This is a time that I need to learn about the stock market so that I can, take care of his future. And me, I'm a very curious person. I don't like not knowing something. Like it will drive me crazy if somebody asks me a question and I don't know the answer. So I, threw myself into learning about it. And the second I opened a book, which is funny, I never read a book at all in my adult life, probably not in my kid life either. Like I didn't in high school, it was always Cliff Notes. In college, didn't read. I mean, my mom and dad are big readers. If I had the camera actually on, there are literally I would say 250 books to my left right now. I'm at my mom
Ah.
and dad's house for Thanksgiving, as I said. There are 250 books easily right there, just in this room. There's books all over this house. They're huge readers,
Yeah.
and I'm not, or I wasn't. Well, the second I opened a finance book, which for a lot of people would be the driest thing in the world, people wouldn't want to read it. People read nonfiction, or people read fiction and that type of stuff. And the second I opened a finance book, I fell in love. I dove in, and I learned everything I could learn about it. And it was just everything. It took over everything that I did. People called me obsessive, but it's not obsessive. It was just curiosity. Like I just wanted to learn more. And I
Yeah.
went from literally reading no books in my adult life to reading about 9 books that were over 400 pages in the next year.
Wow.
And again, they're just like interview type books and theory books and just stuff that people would never want to read. But for me, it was like super fascinating. And I just dove in and couldn't get enough. So that really launched my career into the markets and learning about investments. And that's what pushed me to my end game now of being a financial advisor, being an investment advisor, and focusing on the markets. But really, my focus is education, because again, I thought that I didn't have enough money to make it work for me. I thought that I didn't have enough money to make the market work for me, and I would tell myself, and I discourage myself from learning about it because I didn't think that it fit me. Well, there's a million people, in South Carolina that feel the exact same way. They feel like, oh, the stock market's up there in New York for a reason, or whatever it may be, right? They feel like the stock market's not for them. They feel like they can't take advantage of it, or they don't understand it, or they're and to be honest with you, they feel like there's advisors that don't want to take care of them. They think that they don't have a big enough account that an advisor is going to care, or take
Yeah.
the time. So education for me is a huge thing. And so again, I'm an advisor, but I'm a an educator first. Like I explain my passion first. Like my passion comes through, and that's really what's first for me. So giving people the help that they need, understanding it, whether they end up using me or not, it's kind of besides the point for me. For me, it's really about that education, telling them their options, telling them how to use certain products for their advantage versus somebody else's advantage or the company's advantage. So that's really why I do what I do. And the Business Connect was born from that. We have really strict compliance in the finance industry. And so, yeah, I had like a Facebook page, a business Facebook page, and my LinkedIn page kind of said what I did. But so that just brought in compliance. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get rid of that so that I can showcase the people that I get to meet every day. Cause I was I was out meeting with business owners and, learning about different businesses and things like that. And I was like, man, I really want to showcase this. I want to be able to showcase all these owners that I'm meeting, all these people that are doing the right thing, and all these conversations that we're having that are amazing. I want to be able to showcase that. And that's where the Business Connect came from. It came from, you know, I didn't want to be in this compliant zone anymore. And I wanted to be where I could really just tell somebody, hey, listen, this person over here is doing something awesome without it being misconstrued as, oh, he's a financial advisor. He is recommending us to go there just so he can get more money out of them or something. And I just wanted to remove that. And that's why I don't talk about it either, because I don't want the Business Connect to be seen as like some advertising portal. I want it to really be about the mission of showcasing the owners or showcasing the business from the owner's perspective and
Right.
really focusing on the story behind the businesses. But I
Mhm.
also want it to be good for the listeners because I want them to get something out of it. I want them to get to know the owner, get to know like different thought processes behind entrepreneurship. And so, really, I might not seem like the most upfront or I might not seem like the biggest expert on entrepreneurship because, I'm an investment advisor. I don't, run a brick and mortar store or whatnot. But I did have an investment company that I started from scratch at 25. I then had a research company, an algorithmic trading company
Wow.
for 3 years after that. I did help run a vacation rental company for 3 years, and again, I've helped multiple companies throughout the Carolinas with advice because, you know, I'm a business mentor too. Like, I help have conversations with people on how to improve their business. And there's no charge with that. That's just comes with me. Like, cause I love talking business. I love talking entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it may not seem like I'm the perfect expert to have this podcast or whatnot, but to be honest with you, that's the whole point behind it. The whole point is to share what experiences we've had, and I have meetings all week with business owners, and then I get to come on here and really share the stories that I've heard, and
Yeah.
have another business owner share his stories or her stories, and so that's really where it came from, and that's really the mission behind it.
Yeah. You said obviously a lot of great stuff, but I wanted to focus on you not focusing on we got to make the sale. I like that you're like I want to educate these people to make them not make a bad decision or help them make a good decision, and kind of have that altruistic. I know we don't like big words, kind of mindset of like if I could just help them, that would be a good thing. But if the sale comes, that'd be great too.
Yeah, I mean, because that's another thing with the advisor situation. Like, I don't have a website for my advisory services, and it didn't really hurt anything to get rid of anything on social media because who's gonna Google uh, investment advisor and just call the first person that they see on Google and say, "Oh, hey, I got $1 million to give you." Nobody. That's not going to happen. So it's about trust. It's about fitting with the their personality, and really understanding that they're going to take care of you first. And so that's the message that I give is like, hey, listen, I want you to do what's best for you, not what's best for me. Because again, I had a trading firm. I could go and trade all day long again, and really do that again. But I don't want to because that's me at home sitting behind a screen, ignoring everything that's going on, not being a human, really just computer mode. That's that tedious stuff. That's throwing in those headphones and getting to work and busting out $100 here, $100 there, and just grinding. But and that's a possibility. However, I would rather help people get to where they're going. I would rather see people, learn about something that they didn't think they could learn about. Because when you explain something to somebody that they've not understood for 10, 20, 30 years, and you explain it to them in a way that makes sense to them, it is a whole nother experience of how grateful and how happy they are that you took the time to explain it to them. And again, it's just, I have pet peeves in the industry, just like I'm sure everybody does in their industry. And so my goal is to combat those. My goal is to, you know, fix the wrongs that I see, to help the public. Wall Street, and the finance industry has kind of gotten a bad name for screwing over the public, and I'm trying to do it the opposite way.
Yeah, and I think people could feel that when you're genuinely trying to help them instead of like, oh, I'm trying to make my pockets fatter.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the thing. And I tell people all the time, like, the business that I'm in, like, it takes time. Like, it's not a super lucrative business like it looks like on TV or in movies when you're doing, when you see Wall Street. Yeah, those guys make a bunch of money because they live in New York. Like New York, if you make less than $1 million, like, they laugh at you, right? That's because, but that's the cost of living there. It's different. But in my industry, it takes a long time to make, a decent amount of money, and it's just different. But I would rather do it the right way. And again, I have ways to earn passive income, but because that's what I do, right? I'm an advisor. If I didn't, that'd be a problem. But that's really the thing, is it's just about taking care of the people. It's about helping people achieve their goals and help them understand things. Because again, a lot of the times, I don't work on commission myself. We work on an advisory fee platform, but that's completely different. I can't go too much into that, but I've said this in the past, and it goes for any salesperson really. Why don't they give you options, right? They're going to get paid regardless of what you buy. Um, why don't they give you options? Why don't they say, hey, here's this, here's what it does, here's this, here's what it does, here's this, here's what it does. This is my recommendation because of X, Y, and Z.
Hmm.
But then let you make your choice, because they're going to get paid. If they're working on commission, they're going to get paid commission on whatever it may be. And a lot of the times they don't do that. They just show you one product and say, hey, here's the best product for you. Well, there's reasons behind that. Either they don't have any other products to show, they don't understand the other products, or there's some reason they're not giving you the options. And to me, that's a huge pet peeve of mine. And that's something that I feel is I feel very strongly about that, because to me, it just gives this allure to the customer that, oh, I'm the expert. You don't know what you're talking about, kind of deal.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly. Well, we've been talking like just normal conversation, which is great, but I have a bunch of questions too that we should get to. Um,
Perfect.
what was your first job and how did that influence your jobs after that?
So the first job I ever had, and it was actually a really long job. I ended up working so I worked at Best Buy for when I was 15, and I ended up working at, I think, four different Best Buys over the course of like my lifetime. I mean, even when I moved to Myrtle Beach, I worked at Best Buy. So I mean, like, I worked there for like on and off like 7 years, maybe 5, 7 years. I don't even remember.
Wow.
Like, but yeah, I mean, part-time job, full-time job. But I know I worked at I know I worked at least four, maybe five, maybe more. I can't really remember how many I worked at, to be honest with you. But yeah, I
Wow.
worked at a bunch of different Best Buys. I still have friends that are general managers and managers there, and so I guess how it influenced me was, one, curiosity, and two, perspective. So
Mhm.
curiosity came really when I was in. I did home theater sales, and I was the one that didn't. I would learn about everything that came out. I wanted to learn about everything. Like, I didn't want to just say, here's an LED TV, here's a plasma TV.
Right.
This one's better or this one's better. I learned how they worked, the inside workings of them, why this picture was this way, why this picture was this way. And again, that's really where it came into, like, if someone asked me a question that I didn't understand, or that I didn't know, I would go and spend hours until I figured out what the answer was, so that I never had to put myself in that position again to where I didn't know. And it's bad because, Best Buy didn't at that time, and I don't know if they still are still this way or not, but whenever I was working there, it wasn't commission. You were just hourly. So like, it really didn't matter
Yeah.
if you understood it or not. Like, you kind of just a glorified, Vanna White type of deal, like just showing the products. But you know, For me, I couldn't, dude. Like I couldn't just be like, yeah, this one's better or this. I mean, there's some salespeople out there that are like that. Like I had a friend in one of them that, man, we used to joke, we used to rag on him so hard because whatever the client would say, like he would be like, oh yeah, Sharp's the best TV out there for sure. And then the next client person would come in and they would be talking about Panasonic. Panasonic's the best out there for sure. Like whatever the client was saying or whatever the customer was saying, I mean, he literally was just like, "This is what it is." Like whatever they said, he was just agree, 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 agree. Um, and it's funny, but that's different people's styles. But then also, it taught me perspective. So I was one that when something would happen, I could see it from every level. So I could see it from like the customer service level, I could see it from the supervisor's level, and I could see it from the corporate's level. Like when a new policy would roll out or when something would happen or whatever, all the employees would like kind of get mad and be like, "Oh, this is stupid," or "Why are they changing this?" or "Why are they doing this?" And then the supervisors would say, and they would do their thing. But then I could also see it from the corporation level of why the corporation would put in a new policy, and then
Mm.
why the supervisors would take it and do with what they did with it. And so, yeah, I mean, it taught me perspective, and it really taught me to learn the ins and outs of anything that I was selling and know the backbones of it first and foremost.
Yeah. Well, first of all, that's super discouraging that your friend would do that. Like, just say, "Oh yeah, whatever you say is right." Because when I try to buy something, I try to get other people's thoughts on it because I don't want to. I don't for some reason really don't want to make a mistake and don't want to regret a purchase. I feel like I'm more concerned about that than most people. But so I try to get people's perspectives and thoughts on it. And if someone who's working at the place and I'm looking at TVs and they're like, "Oh yeah, whatever, Vizio's the best," and I'll be like, "Oh great, that's what I thought." So I feel good about that. And then I get it, and then it's terrible, and I'm like, "Wow, that I was totally led astray."
Yeah, and again, that's what it is. I mean, it's just different sales styles. I mean, I'm sure that you can go anywhere and get the same type of treatment. You could go to, I don't know, a car dealership and be like, "Oh, well, I like I like such and such in a car," like just say a random feature, and they're gonna be like, "Well, that's why this is the best," right? You know, what I mean, like they're gonna take whatever you say and turn it into why you should purchase something.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's really about, I don't know, again, like for me, it's more about finding the facts and building that trust. Like, you can, maybe I'm not a good salesperson because I stick to my guns and kind of believe what I believe. I don't
Yeah.
know. But, I feel like that's the right way to do it is, hey, I think that this is the best for this situation. This is the best for this situation. This is the best for this situation. And then you're really just reusing the same stuff and matching the situations. But again, you're giving options to people and you're saying, hey, listen, this is what this does. This is what this does. This is what this does. And it's really about what you want and tailoring it and personalizing it to you to get the best experience. Because to me, even when I was selling TVs, for instance, it was more of a package deal. I would put together things. Sometimes people come in and say, my budget is this, but I want whatever. They would come in and say, I have $1,500 budget. I'm like, okay, well, let's go cheaper on the TV, but then we're going to add audio to it and then
Mm,
get them out the door for $1,500. But they have now a full system because they said they wanted that theater experience. And I'm like, well, you're not going
right.
to get that with just a TV. So for me, it was more about, you know, fitting everything in based on their needs. And again, that's what it is now. That's stuck with me. It's a full package deal instead of like a one individual product sale for me.
Yeah. And that actually, to me, it brings into the quote. So I'll read it to you and then see how you feel, and then I'll see how it ties in to that story for me. So the quote is, "How you do anything is how you do everything."
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, again, it kind of goes back to some of the other ones that we've had in the past of like what I mean, like you be you, your own style and kind of things like that. A lot of them kind of reflect around the same thing, but yeah, you be you, right? And you, the way you do something is the way you do everything. Again, going back to golf, like you have to have that trigger, and that's how you get things going. I'm the kind of person that I've had a job where I was in an office with other people. We weren't working the same job or even the same company, but I've had people say like, "How do you get so much done and have so much free time?" They were like, "You are always out here, like you're always in the middle of the office, joking around, playing around, and do this stuff." And like, how do you actually get your job done? Like, how are you not far, like really far behind? And it's because of that. Like when I'm on, I'm all the way on. When I'm off, I'm all the way off. Like there's no in between for me. Like whenever
Yeah.
I go and clock in, it is full force, knock it out of the park. And there's times that I'll get 8 hours of work done in 2 hours.
Wow.
And because I'm able to turn it on, flip a switch, and that's the go-to, that's that everything for me versus do a little bit here, do a little bit there, do a little bit here, do a little bit there.
Mhm.
For me, it's all on or all off.
Yeah. I was actually trying to do that. I was doing the a little bit turned on thing, while my girlfriend was moving in. I helped her move in, and she was just like tinkering with stuff. I was like, "All right, I'm gonna work on something," and then she was like, "Oh, what do you think about this and stuff?" And I was like, "Oh, that's great." And then I was trying to do stuff, and then I just ended up not being able to do anything. But then, and I was trying to do that like all day, and I got like 2 minutes of work done or something. And then at the end of the day, when I went back to my place, it I just focused and then I got it done in like 20 minutes. So I totally agree with the on when you're on thing. And how this quote relates to the last story you told about being at Best Buy and stuff is because you were such a good salesman and wanted to know even though it doesn't matter if you make the sale or not. Um, that translated into bigger things of when you became a financial advisor and it actually did matter, but you did the work. But the other guy who was like, oh yeah, Samsung's the best just because you said that, when he moved up to whatever he was doing next, if he got, somewhere to go next, he would cut corners and not make as much, or like just wouldn't be as helpful and fulfilled in his life, I'm sure. And it reminds me of what my aunt said to me when I was really young, and I don't know why I remember this so well, but she's like, I don't care what you do. I just want you to be the best you can be at what you do. So if you like mop floors, I want you to be the best floor mopper. And that's like something that most people say to like kids and stuff. But for some reason, it stuck with me. And then I remember I was working at a wing place and I was literally mopping a floor. I was like, wow, I really like, 10 years ago when my aunt said this, I never thought I'd be like actually mopping a floor, and I am, and I'm really doing well because she like planted that seed in me. So I've been obsessed with like how you do it is how you do it, like almost like, obsessively, and like it scares me when I cut corners, even like cleaning, a counter or something, because it's like, oh no, does that mean when I get to make a movie, I'm gonna cut a corner and it's gonna be terrible, or something like that. Uh, so I've been obsessed with that quote for a couple years now.
So I'll tell a good story. I got a couple about River that um, kind of relate to it, and you know, so River will come home from school and they've got these fluency worksheets or whatever, and it's like you get a minute to read this passage and read as many words as you can. And again, when I was in school, like I didn't read anything, so I do try to make sure he does well with reading because again, I was not a good reader in school, and so he will try so hard to go so fast to get his number really high, and he makes a lot of mistakes, so he has to go back and correct them.
Mm,
Um, and I've told him a few times, I say, Bud, smooth is fast, slow
mm,
is smooth, smooth is fast.
interesting.
And whenever he does, like whenever he reads it and reads it correctly, he'll finish the passage almost every time. And like then he's just competing to do it faster. Like,
Yeah,
but a lot of times he'll get done with, and sometimes it's crazy to me. Like I'm like, man, he's in second grade and he finishes 120 words in a minute. And I'm like, I feel like I can't read 120 words a minute. Sometimes, I mean, that's just how I feel sometimes. And it's like, but whenever he slows down and does it the right way, he gets way more accomplished. So I feel
yeah,
like that's, from a 7-year-old level to this, to this point. And like you said, your aunt instilled this to you at a young age. And now just seeing, my 7-year old, that's exactly what he has to do. He has to, do it the right way, and he gets way more accomplished. So it goes back to exactly what you said. Like, you learn it at a young age, and then it sticks with you.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you tell your younger self?
Oh, that's a lot of things that can't be said on here. Yeah. I don't know. I guess like kind of the savage mind aspect of what I've kind of created.
Yeah.
On the podcast, I always bring up the savage mind, and really like not telling yourself you can't do something, or not eliminating yourself from something because of a background or a stipulation.
Mm.
Um, so again, I'll go ahead and jump ahead because I'm sure it's coming. But
Yeah.
so the savage mind came from this. So, if this is your first time listening, the savage mind is a portion of the podcast that I always bring up because it is something that I talk about. It's a book that I'm working on writing,
Uh,
and it's a brand that I've got as well. The savage mind is the definition of a savage is not domesticated or under human control. The other definition is lacking the restraints common to civilized human beings. So for me, what that means is you don't let anyone else make your decisions for you, and you don't let society's rules make decisions for you. You play by your own rules. You make your own path in life. That's really the way I attack things. So the way that came about, and the way that makes sense for me, was my granddad. He had every John Wayne movie there ever was, and so we would go to my granddad's house every Sunday for Sunday dinner, and we'd watch John Wayne movies because that's what he had. Like, he didn't have cable, he had antenna TV, but we would get there before football was on, so we watched a John Wayne movie, then we'd eat lunch, then we watch football. And so in John Wayne movies, the savages were always the people that lived on the outskirts of town. They'd come in, take whatever they wanted, and then leave, right? That kind of thing. But that's really where what before I knew what the definition was, that was my thought of it. Was the
yeah.
person that lives out of the town, comes in, takes what he wants, and then leaves. That's kind of that was where it came from. And then of course I looked up the definition, and it made even more sense. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, again, like, I didn't know what I wanted to be. I had no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. And really had for a long time. I mean, I'm talking about till I was 25. Whenever I started looking into the world of trading and investing and that in the markets, I had no idea what I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And even then, I really didn't know where I wanted to fit in that space. Well, I knew that my background of, going to a community college and playing golf and moving around, and the things that I'd done, and not really going to a prestigious college, and dropping out of college just because I was playing golf and wanted to play golf every day. And I knew that background was not going to get me a job with a high end investment company. So I told myself I wanted to be in a position with an elite investment company. And I said, how do I get there? And I said, well, one, the obstacles are going to be, oh, you don't have the background for it. So I knew I couldn't just go straight to it. So I said, all right, how do I eliminate that obstacle? I get all my licensing and all my experience. Then they can't tell me no. So that's what I did. I set a path to go about getting my licensing, because it's this catch 22 in the financial industry. You can't get your license without being sponsored by a company. The company has to say, yes, we're sponsoring them to take this exam. Well, you can't get
Yeah.
hired. In some places, you can't get hired without the license because they want you to have the experience. Well, you can't get the experience without being, the
Yeah.
classic job catch 22.
Yeah.
So had to find a way to get my licensing, because I knew that my background wouldn't get me to a firm that would just pay for my licensing
Yeah.
right away. That's what I did. I stair stepped my way through different companies, paying for different licenses, getting different licenses with different companies, got the experience, and now I'm in a job that I love. And
Yeah.
so that's where the savage mind came from. That's the whole existence of it, is you create your own path, you make your own decisions, you don't let society tell you what you can and can't do. So if I was going to tell my younger self something, that would be it. I would tell my younger self, I would say, hey, listen, don't let society or anyone else dictate what you do. You tell yourself where you're going to end up, and then you find a way to it.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. Um, so you kind of have the two brands, right? So the investment advisor and the Savage Mind kind of thing. That's your two, right?
Well, the Business Connect is one brand, and the
Oh,
Savage
okay, I
Mind
see.
is the other. The investment advisory is just my paycheck. I
Right.
mean, it's my passion. It's not just my paycheck. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
That's my passion. But the both of them were kind of born from it. Was
Right.
born from like the same thing. But Savage Mind is more like anybody and everybody can benefit from it. You don't have to be an entrepreneur to benefit from it. That one I want to be a book brand, a merchandise brand, and that kind of thing where people like live that lifestyle. It's gonna be more of like a lifestyle brand, a mindset brand, and people want to live that type of a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Versus the Business Connect is really geared more towards entrepreneurs focusing on showcasing business owners from the side of the owner, the why behind the business, and then the podcast of, hey, here's our experiences as business owners, and helping other business owners. Because that's so Business Connect is more about helping business owners, and the Savage Mind is more about helping everybody.
Right. Great. Um, if you got to have dinner with three people, dead or alive, who would it be?
That's a rough one. Whew, yeah, that's a toughie. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
So I don't. I think that it would probably be something just like off the wall, man. I just want like I love good conversation and learning about things that I don't know about. Right? I'm super curious. I love learning. Like I said, I read these books that people would think is dry. Like my favorite book series of all time is Jack Schwager's Market Wizards,
Uh,
and it's literally just a collection of interviews that he did with the best stock market traders or hedge fund managers. And again, it's a series, so like it started in like the 80s, and then it progressed into the modern era. And every era, as the market changed, he would do new interviews, and that's all it was just interviews. But it would let you in kind of on the mindset of these super successful money managers, and so that kind of thing is, I love, like, but I also love golf. So I would say dead or alive, anybody that I could talk to or have dinner with, I would say Johnny Cash. I would say because he lives that brand of savage. Like he was
mm-hmm.
his own dude. He didn't care what country radio told him. He didn't care what Nashville told him. He did it his way. And like I would just love to get into his mind and kind of learn about that.
Mm.
Um, Second spot, I would have to say, hmm, Rockefeller,
Oh,
because I feel like he knows some secrets that people don't know. I don't
yeah,
know. There's some things that have come out about him lately, like some papers and stuff he's written, like back in the 20s or whatever. Maybe not even the 20s. I don't know when they were
yeah,
written, but a long time ago.
yeah,
And so those are pretty good. And then I'd say Jack Schwager, because again, like that's my favorite book series of all time, and
yeah.
just the things that he's learned and seen through the interviews that he did, I feel like he is a wealth of knowledge just because, again, the people he's been around, the people that he. Oh, can I have a fourth?
Sure.
This is another writer,
Yeah.
Michael Lewis, man. I mean, we might not agree on everything. Like he's got some views that I don't really like, but dude, Michael Lewis has had an interesting career.
Who is that?
Uh, so Michael Lewis wrote The Big Short. He wrote
Oh.
Flash Boys, Liars. So he's got like a series of books on, and he's a director too. Like, but he's got a series of books on Wall Street because he used to work on Wall Street a little bit, and
Mm-hmm.
but he also has like these political books and stuff like that. And I don't really care about those. I mean, he's got a ton of books to be honest with you. If you look it up, Michael Lewis, he's got all kinds of books about all different types of topics.
Mm-hmm.
But the ones that are about like Wall Street and the inside of Wall Street, to me, are really, I mean, the fact that he gets these stories and he can get this information out of typically super tight-lipped individuals that don't want to give up their secrets, because like that's a big thing on Wall Street. Like everybody feels like everything is proprietary knowledge on Wall Street. Nobody wants to tell anybody about anything. So I
Yeah.
really feel like that's really key. And
Cool.
so yeah, I would say Michael Lewis as well, because he's got a wealth of information and behind the scenes, and like learning how to get that out of people would be awesome.
Yeah. I'll have to check with the hostess to make sure it's okay to add that fourth person, but I think it'll be okay.
Yeah,
Uh, what's a lesson you learned too late in your life?
not to let other people influence my decisions, not to
Hmm.
let society influence. So the same thing, same
Yeah.
thing as what I'd tell my younger self. Like again, man, I was I was a horrible student, not because of other people. I was a horrible student because of myself. Um, I could get by on my intellect for a long time. And I had teachers tell me that. I mean, everybody knew it. It wasn't a big secret. Um, I mean, I had classmates when I said that I was going to ECU to start my college career. People were like, "Oh my God, you're wasting your
Talent.
abilities, yeah, your talent." Like because, but I was 17 years old and wanted to go to the number one party school in the country, right? So that's what I did. My brother was already there, and I'd been to the parties with him. Well, not with him, but I'd gone and stayed with him and kind of done the party scene for a little bit with him or
Mhm.
his friends and stuff. And I was like, "Yep, that's where I'm going." Like, because I didn't know what I wanted to be. So like for me, there was no direction of like why I needed to go somewhere else.
Right.
Would it have changed my path to go to a different college? Potentially. I don't know, but just and I didn't really let anybody influence me. Like I didn't let them influence my thought process. But again, like I was a terrible student. I got by on my intellect, and I got by on like being able to memorize things in a short period of time, um, and not really having to work hard in school. Like I didn't get bad grades. That's not why I say I was a bad student. Like a few episodes back, Trey, who I went to high school with, he said he was a bad student and he had a 1.2 GPA. Like, but I was not that way. Like I had good grades, but I didn't do any extra work. Like I didn't do homework. I didn't study for tests. I didn't care. Like because I knew I could get A's and B's without studying. I knew I could get A's and B's without. I never pushed myself academically.
Yeah.
But it's because I didn't have a path, right? Like again, that's why vision to me is so important. Like that's why setting that final destination of, hey, I want to get to here. How do I get there? What do I need to do on a daily basis to get to that level? That's really what got it for me. And like I didn't have that growing up. Like I never had that vision of where I wanted to be or a reason to push myself because I didn't have that. I was like, I don't know what I want to be. I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I don't know what I want to be. Um, and so yeah, I think that's really it. Is like have a destination in mind, and then you can figure out your path to get there.
Yeah. That's something I definitely need to work on. Since this is the Thanksgiving episode, I want to hear something you're thankful for in your business life and then something you're thankful for in your personal life.
So in my business life, man, I'm thankful for all the support that I've gotten for the Business Connect. Thankful for all the support that I've gotten on the Savage Mindset or the Savage Mind, um, and just the ability to do what I do. Right. I'm lucky enough that I get to go out and network with other business owners and talk to other business owners on a daily basis. Some people say it's not work when I'm going out to lunch with people or whatever, but
Yeah.
it's all about connecting people together, right? Like I couldn't be the business connect without the connections, right? I couldn't have this brand without the people that I'm putting together. So there's a lot of times that what I do, like I have nothing to do with it. I'll meet with a business owner and they'll say, they'll tell me about their business, kind of tell me a roadblock that they've hit, and I'm like, oh, hey, you here, talk to X, Y, and Z. They'll take care of you, and I can help their business grow without me be even really being involved. I'm just kind of passing their information along to somebody else. So I'm just thankful for the position I'm in with the company that I'm with, the advisory company that I'm with, that I have the opportunity to continue to network and continue to grow these brands and all the support that I've gotten from these brands. In my in my personal life, I'm just thankful for family all the time, man. It's always family. My two boys they're everything, and my wife thankfully lets me be a crazy person sometimes, and get out in the woods and hunt a lot and fish a lot and teach my kids about faith through the outdoors. I mean, that's why I'm an avid outdoorsman. I'm not really a church goer per se, but to me, church is the great outdoors and the
Mm,
creation. So thankful for
interesting.
the
Yeah.
opportunity to take the kids out there all the time and really teach them about the world through conversations in the outdoors
Yeah. Um, so the last question is, what's a time you laughed really, really hard?
all the time. I'm
That's
always
good.
laughing. Like, dude, yeah, I'm not a serious person. You know that. Most everybody knows that I'm not a serious person.
Yeah.
Um, I can have serious conversations, of course, but yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a goofball. My kids are goofballs.
Hmm.
What my son did something earlier today, and it was hilarious, but I don't really know what it was because we always are. There's always something going on. Honestly,
Right. Yeah.
yeah, they're both hams. Both the 7-year old and the 1-year old are both cut ups and always joking around. So yeah, I'm constantly laughing. Like I said, something happened earlier today, but I don't remember what he did. It was like a response to something. Yeah, I can't remember.
That's okay.
But yeah, it was the 1-year old. We asked him a question. He like, oh, I know what it was. Me and my wife were like joking and like, who do you want to change your diaper? And like without even looking, he just like points back at my wife. Like didn't even look. He just like pointed at my wife. And so yeah, started. We both busted out laughing over that. That's what it was.
That's a
Yeah,
good one.
yeah, it was pretty funny.
Poop laughs are the best.
Yeah, man. Nobody wanted to change that diaper, man. It was rough.
um, so now you should plug all the stuff that you're on. Like, I don't know if you're on Instagram, but your TikTok you referenced before. Where can people
Yeah,
find you?
yeah. So right now, the best ways to see the brands are just on their individual social media platforms. So the Business Connect is on Facebook and on YouTube and on any podcast directory out there. It's not up to date on the podcast directories yet. I'm playing catch up because it did take me a little bit to get that set up and get that going. But YouTube is every Friday we post the podcast there, and then either Friday or Monday I typically post it on the Facebook page. You can find the Facebook page at Josh the Business Connect. So Josh the Business Connect. Um, YouTube is always linked on there, but the YouTube channel is The Business Connect. And then the Savage Mind has its own TikTok because, again, it's its own brand. So on TikTok, it is The Savage Mind. Apparently, I really like the word the because it's in both of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's where I don't have any other social media really. I'm not a big social media person, but I understand that it's a way, it's a tool in business to reach the masses. But in my personal life, if you're lucky enough to be one of the 5,000 friends on Facebook that Facebook allows, because I can't go over that, so I have to delete people all the time. But anyways, you will see that the only things that I share are either the Business Connect stuff or things that people tag me in. I'm not a social media genius or anything like that. I'm just out here trying to help people.
That's great. Well, thank you guys for joining us for our special Thanksgiving episode, and see you back here next week. And know that I'm behind the scenes winking at you. Um, so thank you. See you next week. Hope this made you think.
Thanks, Tommy.
I hope this made you think.